Hello and welcome to the Women's Empowerment Summit 2020. I have with me today an amazing woman, Marina Stamos. And did you need more clients in your small business? Marina is a leading women's business coach, CEO of StamosCoaching.com, and helps her clients use speaking to attract clients, make money, finally find their way in their business. She has overcome bitter setbacks and losses, but came out strong and shining on the other side and helped women find their path to the security, hope that comes with profitable self employment. Thank you for joining us on the summit, Marina.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here today. And what started all this for you for empowering women?
So, I've always had, I'm not even sure where it came out of, but this feeling of knowing that when you have money, you have options. You When you don't have
Mhm.
money, you are at the mercy of others. And women in general, I mean, I remember growing up and watching my mother stay in a bad marriage because she didn't have a way. She only had a high school education. She didn't really have a way to make a living. And she stayed in an unhappy marriage, and that really made an imprint on me. And then also just growing up, just seeing the world, right? um, to me, there's nothing more important than the security and the hope and the dignity that gainful self-employment gives anyone, right? But women can struggle more to make money for a wide variety of reasons. So that, and I came out of journalism, news and print, news and print, television, news and print, and realized that there was so much power in being able to get your message out quickly and powerfully, to move people to hire you, move people to join your organization, move people to vote for you, whatever it was. So I kind of, for many years, kind of was thinking, how do I combine those two? How do I combine those two into something that pays me well, but also is a foundation for me to help other people, and particularly other women, to write their own ticket in life. So, yeah, that's how, that's kind of a bit of the story.
Well, that's awesome. It is very powerful. And a lot of single women that I deal with and coach, it is difficult for them because they don't want to feel salesy and they don't want to feel slimy. They want to have that conversation, but they also hate to ask for money. So, does that come up a lot?
You just hit on the number one thing, and I can tell you that I always joke that my fear of salesiness and looking salesy or pushy was weapons grade. And to this day, I can have an really truly out of body experience that I'm looking at myself. I'm like, Marina, are you that person now? I don't not I know not only do sales, I teach sales, and to all kinds of people, lawyers, anybody who has made the decision to not work for somebody else. Once you decide to hang out your shingle, whatever that looks like, you instantly have got to become a salesperson, like it or not, right? So it's a process sometimes to get to the point of being comfortable with it, but we have to become, in a sense, emotionally attached to making money in business. This is one thing that I tell people. We have to have an emotional attachment to making money. And I have worked with women who, men too, of course, I work with, everyone is welcome in my world, but somehow organically I work with women more frequently. So I can tell you that I work with women who are complete startups, women who are the heads of 8-figure brands, things that they built themselves. And I can tell you that in most the statistics aren't great for women-owned businesses or businesses in general, but let's say women-owned businesses. And when I get called into a business, overwhelmingly that owner of the business is so focused on the thing that she does. Like, maybe she's a doctor and she's like, oh, I'm going to be a better and better, make a better product on the people's faces. Please don't make me have to do sales. Or I'm going to be a better cake decorator. Please don't make me have to do sales. You have to do sales. You have to take sales seriously, because otherwise you have a hobby that is going to break your bank account. It's going to disappoint your family. It might hurt your family economically. Um, just think of it as this: it is proof that you're helping people. It's proof that you're helping people. And it's just one skill. It's like, it's just a skill. You learn it, and then it goes from being something you're terrified of to being a place of repose. Like, oh, okay. Now I'm going to have a sales conversation. Okay, no biggie.
That makes more sense. So the inner game of what you're telling yourself obviously makes a big difference.
It's a big mindset thing. And then it's just a matter of practice, and then it becomes second nature.
Okay. Well, that certainly is something that I've had to fight with as well. As you know, we've had those conversations.
Very normal.
Absolutely. So then what would someone do to start changing that mindset?
First of all, remember why you got in, remember what it is that you got into business for. Um, and I'm not saying even a kind of a woo woo, what's your why? And I'm not denigrating the what's your why. The why of business has to be money. Make no mistake about that. How you make money, are you a healer? Are you what's the actual offer that you make in the marketplace? But in a sense, it just, sometimes you have to have, don't, the reality is that for many people, sometimes they have to have their back against the wall. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm out of money. Oh my gosh, I can't keep tapping the bank account. I can't open up another credit card. I can't tap my family anymore. I am back against the wall. I've got to make money. And sometimes it's that desperation that makes them do things that were otherwise uncomfortable. And every single one of them, if they embrace that, will be like, oh my God, I can't believe how much I stressed about something that wasn't that bad after all. And then I learned it, and now I have control over my income. So you just have, there's no other way to say this. You got to get over it. You went into business. Like, did you ever hear of the book by Jen Sincero called You Are a Badass at Making Money?
Yes.
The whole book is really a mindset book about making money. And one of her quotes, I mean, the whole book is great. One of her quotes is, hey, if you're in business, you are in the business of sales. You are a salesperson. Embrace it, because that's what makes you money. Selling makes you money. If you have sales, you have cash. If you have cash, you have that hope and dignity and excitement of seeing that money in the account and being able to just have control over your life, do what you want. You just gotta equate it like, okay, this is what I want, or this is what I use. As I said, I am as able to go into like dread around any part of the business cycle. Running a business is inherently stressful. Really, it is inherently stressful. But I'll say, what's the alternative? Many people are self-employed because they really hate working for somebody else. They just can't stand having, a Michael Scott. I don't know if you ever watched the Office, having some like horrible boss or some horrible coworker, or they want time freedom. Like those are my two driving factors. You still have to get up and clock in with yourself. You still have to treat your business like a business. You still have to have a schedule that you keep to, no question. But my son was my son was hospitalized for 3 weeks, 3 individual separate weeks in the last year. Wow. I didn't have to tell my boss, oh, can I work from from my son's hospital room? Look, I'm not making fun of that situation when you're in that, but to me, I had my little laptop. He was in the bed. I was right there doing my work. That to me was worth all the unpleasantness that comes with self-employment. So there it is.
I do love that. I mean, that's freedom for me, right? If I have money, I don't have the stress of paying my bills. If my son and I want to go do something, we can. And you're right. I mean, you had the freedom to just sit next to him and be there for him and still get some work done at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally, and I was very open with my clients about it. I was running like office hours right there, and I said, I'm spooning ice chips into my son's mouth with this hand, and I'm, doing, I'm fielding your questions with this hand, or putting things in the chat with this hand, and they were good. They were great about it. I still gave them value, but those are the moments when I was thinking, yeah, this is why this is the freedom. This is the exchange for
It's
the stress
also,
of self-employment.
I agree, but it's almost a stress that we like, right? Because we have that freedom to be where we need to be when we need to be there.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of clients too during COVID who had a job and now they're working from home and they're, working, they don't have the drive time for self-care. They don't understand that we can shut it off from 2 to 4, but pick it up between 8 and 10. They just continue around the clock. So is there anything you could share to those women who are struggling with working from home, who have never done it before?
First of all, it is, of course, natural. We are on uncharted territory with unprecedented times, right?
Mm-hmm.
What could have ever prepared us for this? But what I would say is it's exactly like self-employment in that time blocking is for some people that's really hard to do for themselves. But there's no magic cure for this other than time blocking and saying from this time to this time, this is what I do. From this time to this time, this is what I do. Get all the hard stuff out. That book, the Eat That Frog concept. Do the stuff that you dread and the hardest stuff first, right? Get it over with, and then
Get it
say
done.
from this hour to this hour or this half, I'm going to shut it down and treat your day like get dressed for work. Pretend you're at work, clock in. Sometimes a little hack that I will use, if I'm kind of getting in the, oh, well, I'll start at 7:30 instead of 7. I'm just going to drink my coffee here. I'm just going to a little extra coffee, or, just, I'm going to look at this little sweet video on YouTube or something like that. I'm like, okay. I'll think about if I ever were to go to like a coffee shop at that hour, I'd be like, oh, why are they open? Well, just like I expect them to be open and be keeping to a time, I have to keep myself to that standard. I see all these hospital staff, like I live where there are a lot of hospitals. So there's like all these nurses and doctors and people who are, I see them at 5 a.m. hopping on their bikes and going to work. And I'm like, I can't get my, what up to stay on a schedule. Yeah. So time blocking, that's all I can say is that's really the answer. It's in your calendar that you do certain things and you do them and you will it's a game changer.
That is awesome because once you do that and you set your boundaries and this is when I'm working from here to here, then even your family knows, okay, she's serious.
Right. And I know that if you have young children in particular, I'm lucky my child during this has been 14 and 15 across the time. So this is almost not affecting my husband and me at all. Like he's still, he's that age. He's a very low need on his own, he takes care of himself kind of kid. So it's been a walk in the park for us. I can't even imagine these parents who have, younger children, occupying them, getting them into school. Oh my goodness. My heart really goes out to them.
I agree. Homeschooling's not easy. And if you're coupling it with now working from home when you're not used to working from home, it can be very, very stressful.
And no break. We're used to the kids going out, having maybe a sitter, maybe grandma, something. Oh my goodness.
Now it's a whole new world for sure. But you did mention like blocking time and things like that. Are there any other sort of success habits that you have that you could share?
Honestly, keep it simple. Really get a coach. I'm going to be very honest. This isn't me selling myself. This is me telling you that I don't care what you do for a living. Again, if you are self-employed, and most good people, most financially successful businesses have some kind of mentor, some kind of coach that has taken them through so that you don't waste time trying to figure it out. Why? What really happens with a good coach? Good coach usually will point out to you, first of all, where you can be charging a lot more. You typically women undersell themselves. Or they don't even know that they literally just don't know that there are options for them. I'll give you 2 quick examples.
Okay.
One was a recent one. As in during COVID. So this lady who I had encountered in a virtual networking group, and she reps like high-end clothing lines, but she really is something that's like a total life passion for her. She used to be a model in Milan as a young woman, and she actually has an extremely lucrative, multiple six-figure business, and she's really did well. Now things did kind of taper off in the last year or so, but COVID hit and completely wiped her out, because her business is about in-person consultations and fittings and fabrics and colors and hats. And so I saw her talk in the virtual networking event, and she talked about colors and fabrics, and she had her little color swatches and she put on her hat, and no one paid attention. And I noticed people were kind of distracted. So my specialty is the 1-minute talk. It's how do you quickly kind of take people from zero to making them an offer. It's not an elevator pitch, but it's
brilliant.
It's a 1-minute talk. Yeah. And so I did mine, and she responded. She's like, "Oh, I need to get on the phone with you," and other people did too. So I said to her, I'm going to call her Lisa. Lisa, when you talk about what you do, I said, no, I'm sorry. I just got distracted on 2 points, but the most important one. And I said, let's talk. What I want you to do is focus on one area of what it means to in a person's life when they change their image. Because I'd asked her, who are your typical clients? Like, well, like executives, corporate people who are like a couple $100,000 and more. Their annual income. Doctors, lawyers, execs, things like that, and image matters to them. And I said, well, let me ask you, what is it? Would you like to make $1,500 in your business, like in the next couple of weeks? And she said, oh yeah, sure. I said, well, what does it normally take for you to make $1,500? Well, I have to sell this amount of product, and there's this, like a long list of things to do. And I said, let me ask you, would you say that how you look helps you make more money? And she said, oh yeah, how you look affects everything. So agreed, absolutely agreed. And this is actually part of my my process, the 1-minute talk. I said, what if I told you that you could get $1,500 just for doing a 90-minute Zoom consultation with someone that you just meet them on Zoom first to even let them know that you're there, and then you'll deliver the service on Zoom, and they'll give you $1,500 and you don't sell a thing. It's like, no way. What are you talking about? Yeah. And I said, well, here's what you do. You talk for 1 minute about how image equates to money. And you do nothing, you do not waver from that. That image means income, promotions, raises, people valuing you more. And you stick to that. You really stick to that. Like you lean into that. She's like, no way. And I said, way. Okay, go and do it. See what comes up. But also she had because she was a rep. She also was pretty good with the sales conversation. She was used to it. She's like, she understands the sales process. So that was in her favor. So guess what? 2 weeks later, and I share this, I don't know if you saw that in my presentation. 2 weeks later, I get an email, Marina, I just sold a $1,500 Zoom consultation.
Nice.
$1,500, $1,500. And the only expense that she had to acquire that client was a $10 a month fee to be in that networking group. Same thing with a doctor I had worked with. She approached me at an expo, actually. She said, I need a coach. And she's running a very successful process. It's like a aesthetics type medical practice. And, several million, but they also have 10 staff, and there's like a lot of expenses. So by the time I said, well, let me ask you something. Tell me about one of your basic services. And she told me, I said, well, how much does that cost the client? And she said, well, it's like $500 for the evaluation and the basic consultation with us and the certain testing. I said, okay, $500 comes into your office. Is there anything else they spend money on? She said, well, yeah, well, there's supplements then, and they spend $5,000 on those supplements. I'm like, People are spending $5,500 and you're only getting 500. And by the time you take account for all your expenses and overhead and acquisition of that client, what are you making? $100? That you could be charging $1,000 to $2,000 to $3,000 an hour because she's got, like 2 medical degrees. I mean, she's got that cred. Plus she has a great big practice. For just coaching. In other words, so on top of let them take their supplements. But if people are spending 5,000, guess what? They're going to spend 10 and 15,000 to have you guide them through it so that they actually get better results. So she's like, I've heard of that, but I didn't know, like, how do people do that? Naturally, and it's perfectly natural. She's used to the time exchange, the money exchange for service, which is fine. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but you hit a wall. You can, for as hard as she's worked, she should be making more. That was her, so, yeah. So it's things like that you never even know what you probably are not charging enough. And then you just have to set the intention to be very lean. You say, I'm going to go out in public. I'm going to speak. I'm going to have a really powerful message. I'm going to get good at the sales conversation. And a coach is going to teach me how to close somebody. Coach is going to teach me what my true business offer should be. Again, it's not just coaching. I don't just work with coaches, but I mean, I've worked with lawyers, I've worked, whatever. If you have an obligation to bring in, to close a client, and you're also serving them, you need a coach. That's it. Because there's knowledge that they can impart to you so you can get to where you need to go and start to make money. And then like you get your investment back and then you're going pro. You're going pro as opposed to running a really expensive hobby that's always keeping you in like up at night.
I agree. And all the coaches I've had, yourself included, I've always learned something about processes, systems, and myself. So I'm getting out of my way every time someone else says, yeah, but try it this way. Or did you ever think of, so you can't have those conversations with yourself. Your family's not going to have those conversations with you. They're not built in that way. They're built in to say, you shouldn't be doing that. So I agree with the coach thing for sure. It definitely helps move things forward faster. And collaboration is always key because we're alone most of the time. So it is always nice to have that buffer to bounce things and ideas off of for sure.
Yeah, well, you hit on something. The isolation of entrepreneurship is real. I mean, it is a serious issue. It can be very damaging, and people can start to change in your life once you start to build a business. It's a very subtle but powerful thing. My coach had said that to us, like, you're going to see that a lot of you are going to stop having friends, or things are going to start changing, and we're all like, ah, and she was right. So it's just weird. It's and what you care about and what you think about when you talk about change when you are self-employed, it's just different. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm just telling you that that's how it is. Any change in your life can change your relationships. That any change of your status in life can change your relationships. If you get a divorce, if you get, whatever, you get married, you have a kid, you don't have kids, but yeah, and also like a coach is an accountability, and yeah, they're the only ones who really understand and are cheering for you in a way that almost nobody else will ever cheer for you.
It's true. It's true. They're your best friend helping you get through what you need to get through to get to the next level. I love that. Thank you. Is there one thing you'd like to share, a nugget you'd like to share with the ladies? I know you've shared so much already, but would there be one thing that you would like to leave them with?
I would love for you to know that, of course, my mind is going in a million different directions because there's so many things, but the thing that I would like you to do is the fastest way to make money in your business that does not involve technology, involves little to no cost, is to learn how to talk about what you do in a way that is very emotional, simple, and driven by outcomes. And I'll do a quick demonstration of a way to do it and a way not to do it. I use the example of a weight loss coach, Jane, the weight loss coach. And her basic value proposition is, I used to be 100 pounds overweight, or 5 years ago, I was 100 pounds overweight. Now I'm in my skinny jeans and I feel at peace with food in a way I did not think was possible. With those words, anybody who is trying to lose a significant amount of weight, someone who has tried and failed to keep it off for a long time, and who is so weary in their soul of this battle with food, is going to look up from their phone and say, huh? What? Tell me more, right?
Yeah.
What typically people will do, and again, you can just transpose this to your, to your whatever it is that you do. But people typically do, and I get it, and I used to do it too. They'll say, do you eat to live or live to eat? You might think that losing weight is about picking the right carbs, but with my nourish system, we journal every day. Like, they go right into like woo woo and process and what they know. And again, and because they know that that's where the transformation happens and that's what's exciting for them. So that's what they tend to lead with. It is a total, that's really, again, it's what separates. It's so funny how simple it is. The brands who succeed, whether they're huge brands or tiny brands, and this is the way the tiny brands can compete with big brands and grab part of the market from them, is like that individual who just talks in such a like an emotionally calm way and just touches on certain points that kind of match the rolling 4 a.m. The running dialogue, or like that 4 a.m. panic kind of words. Talk like that about what you do. Don't lead with your degree first. Don't lead with your process. Don't lead with unleash your inner awesome or find your limiting beliefs. That's not the thing to lead with. It's not to say that it doesn't have a place in your overall messaging, but it's not the first thing. And what the first thing you say does matter. It really matters. It really changes. It changes the course of your business. It changes the course of your life. It means the difference between acquiring those clients or watching other people acquire them. So that is what I would say. Do you have time for me to give one more before and after, like do this, not that, or am I going
Absolutely.
to? Okay. So I don't just talk about the weight thing. I want to give you another example. I use an example of a career coach. Either a career coach could come out and say, and again, I have thousands of talks, or have passed my desk for review, right? And I've worked with a lot of career and executive coaches, or HR people in general, and then they'll start off with, I'll say, okay, write what you're going to, if you were standing in front of an audience, that you were paid, you were trying to get clients from, what would you say? And typical thing would be like, who wants to hear about my 4-step RISE, like RISE, career navigator system, where we use best practices of resilience and innovation, self-care, and emotional intelligence, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, I really work in that RISE. Isn't that great? Because we want to rise. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that as part of your larger messaging, but I can see you laughing, right? It's off-putting. The defenses go up. We have to lower people's defenses, right? We have to tell a story. We have to use story. We are wired. I mean, there are a lot of studies that show when human beings hear stories being told, that oxytocin is released, and oxytocin allows for empathy. It allows us to feel other people's emotions. And this is again based on the work of these neurologists, and there's a neuroeconomist, actually, a very famous one, who studies this. He said, when we hear a story from a person, it actually makes us feel that we can, this is the theory, that we can, the oxytocin sends us a message that this person, though they're unknown to us, we can approach them and cooperate with them. This is like kind of reptilian, like at a very basic biological level. So here would be the flip side. This is something I'd written for somebody for a while ago. Well, she had kind of a perfect story, and everyone's got a story in them, and she didn't believe she had one. And I said, okay, instead of that RISE disaster, I didn't say that to her because I don't want to hurt her feelings, but I said, tell me a little bit about your story. And she told me, and I said, okay, good. This is what we're going to say. Now, when you're standing in front of your client, your potential client, you say this: I remember the day the manager called us into the office, into the conference room. She said that the job that let me restart because I'm trying to recall something from a while ago. I remember the day the manager called us into the conference room. She said that the job, the one that I secretly wanted, was going to someone else again. So I put on a smile. No one likes a sore loser. But behind that smile, I was making a plan. Today, I am senior VP, making double the salary. And that manager, now she answers to me. You see the difference?
It was about the story and the rise and not the rise.
Right. While in that gives you that's that little entry point into this, like, people are overwhelmed. We are exposed to how many ads a day? Thousands and thousands of images, pop-ups, texts, alerts, the news, our family, something, right? And then the person who's struggling and feeling like I keep getting passed over for promotions, they're going to look up. That's your client. No one is lying in bed at night thinking, they don't wake up like this in a 4 a.m. panic. I need a rise system with resilience and emotional intelligence, self-care. Nobody thinks like that. That's your cue. If people don't say it on the 4 a.m. panic, you shouldn't be saying it as the first thing that you say. Let me put a positive spin on that. If whatever they're saying in the 4 a.m. panic, or whatever they're Googling, how to find a man when you're a single mom, there it is. There's your, start there with your messaging, and you will see
Perfect.
your life will change.
That's awesome. Thank you for all those stories. That's fantastic. And a great number of nuggets for everyone to take forward with them to apply to today. So that's awesome. Thank you, Marina, for joining us on the Women's
Thank
Empowerment
you.
Summit.
Thank you for having me. And may I also leave a gift for your viewers?
Oh, I would love that. Thank you.
So a free gift, which is a step-by-step guide to creating your own 1-minute talk. It is applicable really to any industry. If you have to go out and bring in and close clients, this will apply to you. It's a very thoughtfully written, and it actually has an example of a 1-minute virtual networking script that I'm using successfully right now. They can copy and paste it and make it their own. And you can bring thousands of dollars into your business really in an afternoon using the 1-minute talk formula. So if you look at the link below, you'll be able to click it and download your free copy of How to Attract Ideal Clients in 1 Minute.
Awesome. Thank you, Marina. So generous. I love it. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, for joining us in the Women's Empowerment Summit 2020. Thank you.